Thank you, Mr. President. I've listened very carefully to all of those who have engaged in this dialogue or debate here today. Each of us in this chamber has certain responsibilities as either a chair or a ranker of a particular committee. And each of us within that particular venue is responsible for some greater degree of expertise than perhaps the members at large. And I heard two gentlemen, different sides of the aisle, the one currently the ranker on the committee that deals with Homeland Security, Senator Libel, former chair. I heard the current chair, Senator Adams, both speak rather eloquently, not only about the need to avoid having this trial held here in New York, but every bit as importantly, that these people who are the subject of these trials are enemy combatants. And this is not about whether our federal court system can handle these trials. It's about whether a component of our federal court system, which is the military component, should be handling these trials. It's all part of the same federal court system. So it's not that it can't be handled in a federal court system. It can be. The question is whether it should be handled in the federal district court in New York, or for that matter, a federal district court in any other venue in any other part of this country, or whether it should be handled in the federal military component of our federal court system. Now, there's nobody here who doesn't remember where they were on September 11. There's nobody here who doesn't know, either through family or friends, somebody who lost their lives, or a number of somebodies who lost their lives. I can well recall my wife and I trying to reach my son, who was an assistant district attorney in Manhattan at the time, and how she was driven to tears because hours and hours and hours went by and she could not get through to him, and literally was crying. Excuse me. Ultimately, we were able to reach him on his home phone, where he had the good sense to leave a message that he and his roommate were safe, and that they would get back to us whenever they could. This was an act of carnage that was premeditated, and one of the very reasons that this act was premeditated is because this nation represents the very things that some of you have referred to early. We're the bastion of democracy. We believe in freedom of expression. We cherish our Constitution and its Bill of Rights, all of which are an anathema to the people who sought to wreak this horrid devastation on the city of New York, on our nation's capital, and Lord only knows where else that plane that ultimately destructed in Pennsylvania would have wound up. The simple fact of the matter is they vilify our Constitution. They vilify everything we represent. It's a credo. It is a way of life. These are not civilians. These are soldiers in a war against this nation and everything we believe in. They may not necessarily be smartly attired in uniform, but these are soldiers, soldiers of death and destruction, soldiers that believe that under any circumstance, to the point of giving up and sacrificing their lives, they must bring this nation to its knees in any way that they can. To afford them the opportunity for a civilian trial is really to compound the injury that they've already imposed upon us. They, in fact, should be subjected to no more or no less than any other military combatant. They should be tried before a military tribunal. They should be entitled to the same degree of justice that we would afford any other in that situation. And yes, there is, believe it or not, a series of justice that does occur in our military courts. They should not impose the anguish, the fear upon any community in which they might be located in this country, whether it's here, whether it's in Montana, whether it's in Chicago. We should make the statement that it is simply unacceptable to degrade ourselves in order to somehow or other make the international community feel that we're apologizing to them. And that's basically the only justification that can be offered for conducting a civilian trial somewhere here in this country. I want to commend Senator Leibel for bringing forth this resolution. And incidentally, when I mention each of us has an area of expertise, as far as I know, the only two people that are routinely briefed, and briefed by statute under the law of New York, by those in charge of Homeland Security here in New York, and also including from time to time, I believe, federal officials as well, are the senator who chairs the Homeland Security Committee and the ranker. So I suspect that they've been privy to information that the remaining 60 of us have not. And in their judgment, in their well-qualified opinion, military tribunals are the appropriate places for these people. And in many respects, I think I stretch and accommodate to consider these people just that, people, should be tried in a military tribunal. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Leibel. Thank you, Senator Adams.